NTA International News.
President Muhammadu Buhari continues his strategic meetings with stakeholders to put Nigeria on a right footing. Federal government launches economic recovery and growth plan. 90 advocates recovery of unremitted funds to upscale the economy. Hello there, it's good to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I am Shegun Lawole. President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that messages of appreciation, goodwill, support and encouragement were delivered to the Nigerian leader during the visit.
General Yakubu Gowon is the first former Nigerian leader to visit President Muhammadu Buhari since returning from his medical vacation in London. President Buhari and the former head of state thereafter retreated for talks which lasted about 30 minutes behind closed doors. Details of their discussions were not made public, but newsmen insist on hearing from General Gowon at least the purpose of his visit.
My coming here today is to come and welcome Mr. President back, and then to encourage him to continue to do his work the best to his best of his ability, dealing with all the problems and day in day out you read in the press, of course, all sort of things happening. We hope God will give him the continued strength and energy to be able to deal with the problems of the country for the good of Nigerians. But I'm delighted to be here to welcome him back and to see him in reasonably good health and able to do whatever he's able to do.
The former head of state used the forum to express formal appreciation to President Muhammadu Buhari for keeping in touch while he was bereaved.
The other thing also is to thank him very much indeed for ringing me from London to commiserate with me on the death of my sister. And this was really very gracious of him. I was very touched, and I'm sure that also helped to make Nigerians to rejoice, especially those who are sending all those very unfortunate messages about him and about whatever it is.
In the meantime, Governor Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar of Zamfara State and the Minister of Agriculture, Audu Ogbe, were also in the State House to keep President Muhammadu Buhari up to speed on the agreement signed between Nigeria and China on the procurement of strategic machinery for agriculture and rural development in Nigeria.
And the Chinese were willing to supply us these things: tractors, bulldozers, graders, irrigation pumps, threshers and so on from China on a long-term basis, 20-year credit at an interest rate of 1% per annum. And a committee has been working on the matter. We're close to sorting out all the small details, and that's why we came to brief Mr. President. He asked us to get in touch with the Ministry of Budget and Planning, Finance and CBN to sort out all the technical details and then move on with it, because of all the partners we have, the Chinese have shown a great deal of willingness to see us out of our problems.
They are giving us a credit line of $4.5 billion. And initially we started negotiation to drop a counterpart funding of 25%, understanding the situation of the economy globally. We negotiated to give a counterpart funding of 10%, which we believe Nigeria could be able to do it, and we are targeting the natural resources fund for this. So we now come a stage whereby Mr. President needs to come in so that he give us a leadership word so that we can forge ahead. We are making a huge progress with this relationship, and we realize that China is coming first to support this country.
The agricultural development deal, which engages all the states of the Federation and the FCT, as well as the Ministry of Agriculture, was part of the numerous agreements signed between Nigeria and China during President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to the Asian country in April last year. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And in the forefront of the current administration's drive to sustain and build on the successes so far recorded in tackling corruption, improving security and revamping the economy, President Muhammadu Buhari will on Wednesday launch the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The ceremony will take place in the council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The medium-term growth plan, which had earlier been approved by the Federal Executive Council, has among its broad strategic objectives restoring sustainable, accelerated inclusive growth and development, investing in the people, and building a globally competitive economy. In the meantime, the federal government has been urged to put urgent machinery in place to recover over $21 billion unremitted funds to facilitate the country's economic recovery plan. Executive Secretary, Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NITE, Waziri Adio, made a plea in Abuja. Lainka Ujo reports.
On sector reform, NTA noted that the recovery of the huge unremitted funds is more than enough to jumpstart the economy. Findings from series of audits of the oil and gas sector carried out by NTA showed that NNPC and its subsidiaries, the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, have failed to remit over $21 billion and over 316 billion naira to the Federation accounts. While urging the federal government to go beyond the recovery of these funds, Mr. Waziri advocates revaluation of the asset divested to NPDC to determine the actual market prices with a view to recovering the full value of the assets and securing optimal benefits for them.
The AMLs that have not been paid for or have not been fully paid for should be retrieved from NPDC and should be revalued and should be auctioned so that the country can get proper value for those AMLs. We also believe that the status of an operation of NPDC should be reviewed.
Appealing that the federal government should fast-track comprehensive reform of improving petroleum sector, Mr. Adio pointed out that the federal government should investigate the status and use of Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Company, NLNG dividend from 2000 to 2014. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
The federal government has recently challenged local manufacturers to come up with locally fabricated agricultural equipment to promote indigenous technology. Musa Baba Aliyu reports that products exhibited at the ongoing Technology and Innovation Expo in Abuja indicates that the fabricators are proving their mettle in the field of agriculture.
Has over the years been depending on importation of all the needed heavy-duty farming equipment to boost national food production. But recent investigations show that most of the equipment being imported can be fabricated in the country. For instance, this tractor was manufactured by Tefa Adingi, an indigent of Benue State. The heavy-duty machine, he says, can compete with those imported from China and India.
20 liters of fuel can do a whole day's work. You know, something that otherwise would have gotten like 15 people working on my farm to do. And you can also do transportation, you can do tilling. There's a whole lot of things you can do with this.
Like Adingi, other fabricators are also displaying their products that can support farmers and processors to boost food production.
We need Standard Organization of Nigeria to come and partner with we fabricators so that we can standardize our Greek machines being fabricated in Nigeria. We can have our own Nigerian standard and key that into the international standard.
The fabricators and the end users are happy with the innovations exhibited by Nigerians, with an appeal to government and agro-allied industries to patronize them.
Innovations are there all the time, and it takes this type of platform for people to come round and see the various work that has been done in science and technology and the innovations that are available in Nigeria to actually catapult the country to an industrialized nation.
With necessary support and patronage, fabricators here say Nigeria has no business importing heavy-duty agricultural equipment, as they have the capacity to produce equipment that can aid food production and processing in Nigeria. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
In a related development, the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, says it is enacting a 3-year response strategy to mitigate the impact of the crisis in the Lake Chad Basin communities in the West African sub-region. The Director General of FAO, Jose Graziano da Silva, said the conflict in that belt has affected the means of livelihood of the people, leading to their displacement. He maintained the lack of access to basic social services in terms of health, water, education, and social protection will jeopardize the lives of millions in a region that is highly vulnerable to shocks. Da Silva added that FAO will continue to support countries in the region to address the humanitarian crisis in the Lake Chad Basin. He pointed out that FAO is striving hard to make an impact in the Lake Chad Basin. It was a shower of encomium in Abuja as a book entitled Benefits of Perseverance, President Muhammadu Buhari, a case study, was presented to the public. Victor Azu has the report.
The 8th chapter book with 313 pages chronicles the life and times of President Muhammadu Buhari. Former Director Legal of the 2015 APC Presidential Campaign Council, Chukwuma Chukwu Ume, and other reviewers of the book extolled some of the virtues that endear President Buhari to the people.
She knew that schools are factories where intellectuals are made, and her son must not be left out.
In this book, you have the details, including the pictures of the military men leaving for Maiduguri.
Author of the book, Emeka Obienyi, says the book is aimed at putting the records straight on the character of President Muhammadu Buhari.
Here in Nigeria today, people will tell us, Mr. President is not educated, but they will not tell us that he has masters in strategic studies from the university in America. They will tell us that in 2003, 2004, he sent 500 politicians and businessmen to jail, but they will not tell us that those people sent to jail actually stole our money.
The author described President Buhari as a man who is loved and respected the more with each passing day. Areas covered by the book include education, career, and President Buhari's activities in his first 8 months in office. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
Turning to the National Assembly, the people of Southern Borno have urged the Senate to reconsider the suspension of Senator Muhammad Alim Dume with a view to reinstating him. It was during a peaceful protest at the National Assembly by a group under the auspices of the Southern Borno Global Initiative. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nani reports.
It is not unusual to see this kind of crowd besieging the entrance of the National Assembly in protest for or against one thing or the other. This time it is the Southern Borno Global Initiative who have come to demand reinstatement of Senator Alim Dume, who was recently suspended by the Senate.
Appealing to the Senate to reconsider the disciplinary action against Senator Muhammad Alim Dume, the group described the 6-month suspension as adding more pains to the people of Southern Borno, who already have been traumatized by the activities of Boko Haram in the area. They said, for the people of the area who are already taking refuge in various IDP camps across the country, to stay for 6 months without a representative in the Senate may disrupt the democratic process gathering momentum in the country, as well as the Northeast Development Project.
The National Assembly cannot suspend our leader without any justification. We want your representative to the Senate.
The senators who received the people urged them to be calm and wait for the outcome of the decision of the Senate on the matter. From the National Assembly, Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
You're watching NTA International News from Abuja, Nigeria. Time to take another break. We'll return shortly. To stay with us.
I know how this place was before. In fact, I don't know how Owele does his own magic. Now you can see motorists are passing under this place.
So anyway, we hold up. Came up and check on it, and which medical hold up for them.
There is free access to the road. People can now move on very well without hold up or anything.
This is a rescue mission project. Invest in Imo. The Imo Rescue Mission. Imo must be better.
This is Tuta Absoluta, aka the Leaf Miner. It is a destroyer and operates at night. It devastates tomatoes and other crops like potato, sweet pepper and eggplant, causing 50 to 100% damage, amounting to losses in billions of naira annually. Tuta Absoluta causes huge reduction in yield of tomato crops, high cost of production, poor income to farmers, collapse of fruit industries, and attendant loss of jobs. The economic impact is huge. Farmers, outgrowers, stakeholders in the agricultural value chain, and the general public are hereby advised to immediately report any suspected case of Tuta Absoluta in tomatoes to Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service on. This message is from the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, NAQS.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Welcome back. Nigeria's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index shows a modest increase in the month of February. Here is Chiazala Mekia with details on business news.
Hello, welcome to Business News. Latest ranking of trade freedom around the world, developed ahead of the forthcoming 2017 Index of Economic Freedom, ranks Nigeria at 161. The ranking further reveals and demonstrates that citizens of countries that embrace trade freedom are better off than countries that do not. It usually shows a strong correlation between trade freedom and a variety of indicators, including economic prosperity, low poverty rates, and clean environments. And Nigeria's Purchasing Managers Index shows a modest increase from 50.0 in February to 52.8. The index report, which is released at the beginning of the month, has forward-looking indicators that have proven capacity to move financial markets across the globe. Meanwhile, a new 50 euro note has been launched in the 19 Eurozone countries, featuring a host of innovative designs. The new note issued by the European Central Bank incorporates a transparent window featuring a picture of Europa, a goddess from Greek mythology. The euro is said to be one of the least counterfeited currencies in the world. And next is a graphical illustration of how the equities market fared today. That's the package. I'm Chia Zalameki. Please stay tuned for the rest of the news.
And time to bring a report from other parts of the world. And Basi Taipang will do just that.
South Africa's Trade Union Federation has advised President Jacob Zuma to step down. This is a major consequence for President Zuma since his controversial reshufflement. The Trade Union Federation says the labor movement cannot ignore current political developments. It noted that the goal of making South Africa great is the goal of making South Africa corrupt-free. The U.S. says it is withdrawing funding from the United Nations Population Fund, an agency that promotes family planning in more than 150 countries. The State Department claims the agency participates in programs of forceful abortion in China. But the agency says this is an erroneous claim and that its work does not break any U.S. laws. In total, $32.5 million will be withdrawn for the 2017 financial year. And from Syria comes a report that at least 58 people have been killed and dozens wounded in a suspected chemical attack on the rebel held town in northwestern Syria. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that strike by Syrian government or Russian jets had caused many people to choke. Local opposition activists posted photos of those they said died. The Syrian government has repeatedly denied using chemical weapons. If confirmed, it would be one of the deadliest chemical attacks on Syria since the civil war began 6 years ago. Basi Taipang, NTA News.
And now taking you to the world of sports. Queen's Baton Relay runs off its tour of Lagos Tuesday with some interesting events, just as the Nigerian National League goes shopping for sponsors. These and many more on Sports Update with Henry Efio.
Activities marking the arrival of the Queen's Baton was concluded Monday with the presentation of the baton to the Sports Minister Solomon Dalong by members of the NOC and the relay team at the National Stadium in Lagos. The minister told the gathering that Nigeria remains an important stakeholder in the Commonwealth, having attended all but 4 of the Commonwealth Games since its inception at Auckland 1950.
Our participation remains as long as Commonwealth continue to exist.
We're really looking forward to having a big component of Nigerian athletes from all over the Commonwealth, including from Nigeria.
The team was also at the office of the Lagos State Governor, who promised to make facilities available for athletes who will be training in the state for the competition.
We will use this particular event to now jumpstart and reactivate the training of all our athletes that will go into that Commonwealth Games next year.
The board of the Nigerian National League has secured a sponsorship deal with the betting company Bet Niger for the 2016-2017 season. The league, which will now be known as the Bet Nigerian National League, was renamed after the betting company gave the nod when the league board, led by its chairman, Chidi Ofokenwa, met with the management of the betting company in Lagos.
When you meet two very strong Nigerian brands put together, you know what will happen? The limit will be above the sky.
The Lagos State Football Association is organizing a one-day beach soccer championship during the Easter holiday. 8 teams in Lagos will feature in the competition, which will showcase some of the teams that have been featuring in the Eco Beach Soccer League for the past 4 years. Teams set to feature in the competition are Pepsi Academy, Colin Edwin Academy, Best Scholar, Nat Boys, and 4 other corporately owned club sites. Sports Update, Henry Ifyu, NTA News.
Now let's take a quick check on Wednesday's weather prospect in Nigeria and some cities around the world. And now to end the news, a recap of major stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has continued his strategic meetings with major stakeholders to put Nigeria on a right footing. We heard that the federal government is to launch economic recovery and growth plan to revive the country's economy. And finally, we inform you that Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative has advocated recovery of unlimited funds to upscale the economy. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I am Shego Lawole.
When you take a tour to